It's time to get out of your own freaking way. If you struggle to get imposter syndrome, if you feel like you let fear dictate your actions and you just can't seem to get ahead, even though you know internally that you're capable of these things that you want to do, but something just you keep hitting up against it, this live is for you this morning. So, good morning and welcome to Business Breakfast in Bedhead. My name's Dawn Bradley, if we haven't met yet. And in my opinion, my very biased opinion, this is the best place on the internet to be in the mornings. So happy Friday and welcome because I'm so excited. We're going to get you out of your own way, getting you taking action on the things. And even if it's like small little things that you're like, I don't know what the heck is wrong with me. I can't seem to even like get my dishes done or put my laundry in or clean my bowls at the salon or fold towels. I mean, same. It's actually like the little things that I struggle with the most. The big challenging things are the fun part. It's the like maintenance and the menial things that I can't seem to get through. So you're in the right place if you've ever felt like you've gotten in your own way, if you feel like fear dictates your actions. And I've got like the sweetest bedhead for you guys this morning. I worked out last night and then went to bed like this. So before we jump right into it, I want you guys to know I'm live on YouTube as well. So a lot of times I get people saying like, oh, like I love your IG lives, but I can't switch and do other things like while I'm watching. Well, good news is you can go watch on YouTube now. Also, if you miss a live during the week, we're putting them on the podcast. So just 24 hours later, so Tuesday through Saturday, you can find these lives over on the Anxious Creative, wherever you subscribe to podcasts. And I want you to know that this is a conversation I want to have. I don't want to be talking at you on a screen. I want to be talking with you. And so I know we're all like introverted people that are shy, but you participating in the comments makes a big difference, not only for me to know what I can share with you, but for you to get more out of it. There is a question box down here if you're watching on Instagram that you can go ahead and put a question in. That helps me stay on topic and bring the question up. If you're over on YouTube, just pop a question in the comments. I'll see them there. I want to help you. I want to make sure that I'm giving you stuff that is tangible. I do these free for you to help you get to a better place. And so all I ask is that you connect with me and help me know that if something's hitting home, that you like tell me yes, or if you've got a question, ask away, because this is where you can do it completely. And I don't do this sort of stuff outside of my programs for people who aren't my paying students. So this is your opportunity. But first of all, I want you to put your name and where you're tuning in from in the comments so that we can get to know each other and you can know that this is a safe space. Hi, Heather. Hi, Roots Organic. Yeah, my bedhead is sweet. Look at that. Like all these like small little pieces of hair. And then the next thing I want you guys to know, I love when I'm actually awake early enough for your lives. I love that, Heather. I know people who are in like Pacific time really miss out. So next thing I want you to know is this is a safe space and a judgment-free zone where we can learn and grow together and show up real, raw, honest, and vulnerable. And especially when it comes to getting out of our own way. And if you guys are enjoying these lives, I always post them. Hi, Laura from Innisfail. I always post them back on my feed. And the biggest thank you that you can give me is sharing with a friend. But here's the thing. I want to ask you guys that are here right now, what is the number one thing that be like you getting in your own way or getting out of your own way? What do you think needs to happen? Hi, Shelby from Abbotsford, BC. Good morning from Idaho. We got Cheyenne. Because I want to know, we know that like I can't seem to get out of my own way. I keep sabotaging myself. I have imposter syndrome. But why do you think that is? I really want to start with that question this morning and have us start getting really curious and inquiring. Because a lot of times what happens is we stay stuck in this like I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, like that person seems to be able to do it and then I know I could, but like why can't I seem to get ahead? Is there something wrong with me? And so when we start to inquire with ourselves and get curious, we can start to find the answers that are actually in the way. And I'm actually doing this with myself right now because I've had a really rough 2022 in a lot of ways and in my personal life. And I just can't seem to get motivated in a lot of ways. And honestly, committing to you that I will go live Monday through Friday has been the best accountability for me. I get so pumped up and you give me so much energy. So I'm so honored and happy that I get to come and do this with you each and every morning. But I got to tell you that, um, that this actually keeps me accountable in my own life and business. Okay, Cheyenne saying procrastination. Yes. And how many times do we label ourselves? So how many of you guys have ever felt like people have called you lazy? I know I have. People have called me lazy so often. and growing up being told I was lazy. And so I started to label myself as a lazy person, and I'd beat myself up, and I'd, kick myself, and it's like, well, clearly I'm just lazy. Or let me share this story with you guys really quickly, because this is one way that I can't seem to get out of my own way. Is I used to babysit for this couple in high school. I loved babysitting. I was like, I call me that all the time. Yeah, the things we call ourselves really dictate, like, oh, well, I could do that, but I could do that, but I'm too lazy. And then we hold ourselves back. So, okay, we've got a lot of, hi, Heather Burns. We've got a lot of people who have also been called lazy, and then we call ourselves that, and then we live it out. And so what if you started calling yourself really strategically productive? Right? You rest, which is good in a world that tells us to hustle 24/7, or we feel like it's telling us we need to hustle 24/7. Being strategically productive means we take time for ourselves and we rest, because there's literally no way that you can always be going, but you can go on your phone and always see somebody doing something. And we start to think that everyone's doing something all the time. When really, if you only, this is my hack for this. If you only, oh, we got unorganized. If you only followed one person on social media, you would very quickly see that they're not doing something all the time. Or if they do, all of a sudden they'll crash and burn, right? But because we follow multiple people, we're constantly seeing somebody doing something. And then we start to think that everyone's doing everything all the time. But if you only followed one person, you'd see that they take breaks, they take days off. And so we can't put this false expectation on ourselves that, like, oh, I'm lazy because I didn't post on social media on the weekend. Well, why would you? You are supposed to have days off. And if you have social media for business, then you shouldn't either. It should be scheduled and like automatically done, but you shouldn't be doing things on your day off. Your day off's your day off. It's not lazy. It's smart. So let's get that out of the way. But I hate making content. Hate it. Yeah, me too. I'd rather just go live all the freaking time. Honestly, I've like thought about, like, should I just like go live in the morning and maybe at noon for those people, like people in like Pacific time zone that can't make my lives earlier. Um, okay, so another thing we talk about, like the labels that we put on ourselves, are how we like live out, I'm lazy, or I'm stupid, or I'm just a hairstylist. So one thing that happened to me, so I used to babysit a lot. I started this conversation a little bit earlier, and I used to babysit every week for these people, and then they needed a babysitter overnight for something. And they said to me, I think I was in grade 10 or 11, they asked my other friends. So every Monday night I babysat for these people when they went and did their thing. And they said, if we just wanted to let you know that we asked this person to come babysit overnight because she's just more responsible. That one, I didn't realize that stuck with me and still does, of going, oh, it like blindsided me. And in the moment, I don't know if it really sunk in, or it probably did. And I remember being like offended and hurt and being like, why wouldn't I, like, maybe I was probably in grade 11 or grade 12. Like, what is it about me that they think I'm not responsible? I couldn't figure it out. I know, like I always do the dishes, I try to clean up the house, like, and yet they said that to me. It's like, we got her to do the overnight babysit because she's just more responsible. And that's something that has dug in deep into my inner psyche of going, I'm not a responsible person. And so I only allow myself to get so successful, or like I don't think that like things that require more responsibility. So when I hired my first and only stylist that ever worked under me, I now in hindsight can go like, oh, I didn't think I was responsible enough, or I'm not a responsible enough business owner. And that narrative, I didn't even realize, like it took a lot of time to realize like that's where it came from. Someone once told me that I wasn't a responsible person. And so now I don't think I can be trusted with bigger responsibilities. And I need to actively work against that. I am a responsible person. That was something that was said to me when I was 16 years old, and I don't know why. And I have proof here, here, and here that I am a responsible person. And so I'm curious, can you guys find a time where maybe someone either called you lazy, or you're unorganized, or, oh, you're just a hairstylist or an esthetician, or, oh, that's cute. Like, are you going to get another job? Or I've always shared, I had a picture of, this is actually from my ex-husband when we first started dating. He sent me a text when we were first getting to know each other being like, are you just a hairstylist, or are you also putting yourself through the awesomeness of school? That's what I want to say to that now. But like those narratives play in, like what's wrong with, just being hairstylist? It can be hugely profitable and lucrative. And that's what I'm here to show you guys that you can be. I was, when I was full-time behind the chair, I was I was bringing in over $200,000 a year, taking home over $100,000 a year. And that was from a small prairie. I mean, Saskatoon was a city with 300,000 people, but I grew up in a small town. I was somebody that had zero confidence, super shy, didn't initiate conversations, was terrified of what people thought of me. And I was able to do it. So I want you guys to know that whatever you think, if it's being lazy, if it's unorganized, or I hate making content, you don't need social media to be successful. And I'm actually really wanting to work on a workshop. And I asked my students this and they were all for it. And I want to ask you guys right now, like, if I made a workshop about, because I specifically don't teach social media, because I think you need to understand marketing and sales, and then you can apply it to social media. But if I made a social media class for you guys, that wasn't all the like post this many times a day, talk about this, but it was actually like very counterintuitive about how to build relationships and use Instagram, but without like using Instagram. Would you guys be in for that? Okay. So then we also had like, I'm unorganized, right? Hi, Jody. And so we let these things, and I want to know, like, tell me, because I told you guys, like, you participating in the chat really helps me understand if like I'm hitting the nail on the head, because I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. I am a super unorganized person by nature, but then also I'm very particular. So I know where things are in my mess. And when I first went out independent, or when I first started my own business, things were kind of, I knew the method to my own madness. But when I started wanting to grow my business in different ways, I wanted to bring on someone to start doing my bookings, like, and taking payments for my clients, because I wanted to, not prioritize. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh my gosh, I'm going so brain dead. I wanted to make sure that I spent my time in the salon with my clients doing hair. Like, that's what I'm really good at. It doesn't make sense that I should be taking 5-10 minutes taking their money from them, or the 5-10 minutes of cleaning the bowls or doing the towels. I wanted to be really strategic about my time. So when I hired on someone to come be in the salon with me and take payments and rebook clients in and clean up, I didn't have any sort of like, I didn't know how to tell them. I was like, just do it the right way. And I remember one time asking my employee to go, this was a hairstylist that was working for me, go clean the retail shelves. And then she's like, okay. And then I watched her and she went over. And so like, there's like retail shelves like here. And she like started at the bottom, took all the products off, dusted it, put them back, and then went up to the next one. And then I watched her dust it, and I watched all that dust fall onto the shelf that she just dusted. And I was like twitching, and I was like, oh, see, this is why like I don't get other people to do things, is because she's not doing it right. Because I'm a control freak. And I like sabotaged my own growth. And instead of going, because I said, can you go dust the shelves? And she said, yes. And in my head, obviously everyone knows to dust the shelves top to bottom, but not everyone does. And then I remember thinking like, well, I don't know how to tell her because this is uncomfortable and awkward. And I don't want her to think that I'm like ungrateful. And I don't want her to think that I'm criticizing her. And so it's probably just easier if I do it myself. And how many of you guys have got stuck in that mentality of like, there's things I could totally get other people to do that it doesn't make sense for me to be doing, because it's not the best use of my time. But it's like, oh, but then I have to like try to get them to do it, or I have to, so relatable. Yeah. And that's why, like, inside of my program, Rock Your Business, we go through all this stuff and we break it down, and I show you guys how to communicate compassionately, because in my head, I was like, it's like all about her not doing it right. And then I was like, well, it's too uncomfortable to be like, hey, just so you know, like, you're dusting the shelves all wrong. I'm like, ooh, I don't want to say that to her. That's going to be weird and uncomfortable. And that's combative and conflictive. And I don't like conflict. And so it's just easier for me to do it. Hi, Orpha. It's just easier for me to do it on my own. But the reality is how I needed to handle that situation, and I didn't, was saying, hey, thank you so much for dusting the shelves. I realized while you were doing them that I didn't communicate clearly enough how I wanted you to dust the shelves. So know that you did them, and I'm grateful for them, and I'm so happy. And then I've just written down here, and I actually have a whole salon task handbook, and I actually have the template of it inside of my program, Rock Your Business. So when you guys join, or if you're in it already, or when you guys join Rock Your Business, you don't have to like put a whole handbook together. I've already put it together for you. It's kind of like Mad Lib style. But I was like, I've written it down here, how I'd like you to go about it in the future. And so that way it's like, okay, so dusting the shelves requires taking all the products off the shelves, dusting the shelves from top to bottom, dusting each product and putting it back. And then that way it's really clear. And that way I'm not telling her she did it wrong or did it bad. I'm just I'm clearing up my miscommunication. And what I learned in my business is for me to get out of my own way and grow and become the responsible business owner that I wanted to be, it was learning that all the frustration I was feeling was not at the people I thought I was frustrated with. It was all at me. Whether it be my clients all wanting to come in on my days off, continuing to text me when I said online booking. Well, I created this habit for them. I used to allow them to text me. Habits are hard to break. Client, you're not going to tell your client something once and they're going to automatically switch. We are creatures of habit, and we are also creatures that want to do the path of least resistance. And so if you're frustrated with your clients because you told them once that you're now having online booking, or you told them once that you're no longer working evenings or weekends, but they still continually to ask, don't get offended at them asking. Just gently re-guide them to where you need to go. And I just didn't know how to communicate like that. I didn't know how to say, hey, Lindsay, thank you so much for dusting the shelves. I realized I was super vague about how I told you to do it, and I got to apologize. And so you did a great job. Thank you. Next week, when you do them, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I'd like you to do them, and I'll share with you why. And then this is the other thing I also share. And if ever you have an idea of how we can make this a better process, I want you to bring it to me first, because sometimes the most efficient way isn't the best way, but sometimes you might have an idea that works better. And I want to hear it because I really value your opinion, because I don't ever want to box people into being like, only do it this way. And if they're like, what the hell, like there's a way better way to do this, but like she said I had to do it this way. I want people who work with me to know that like I'm open to hearing it, but you don't get to change it until we've talked about it and discussed it first. But really, we hold ourselves back in so many ways because one, we're so scared of conflict and confrontation, because maybe all you've experienced in life is conflict and confrontation. You've never had someone compassionately communicate with you. I mean, I don't think many of us growing up in our homes had parents that were like, hey, listen, I want you to know that I'm really glad about the effort you put into that, but I'm going to share with you that I'd like you to do it this way. I mean, I didn't, and my parents are lovely, wonderful human beings. But that wasn't the way that like communication was done. I witnessed passive aggressive, super sarcastic, beat around the bush, pick up on what I'm dropping down kind of communication when it came to things that may cause conflict or things like that. It was never really, I never really witnessed like compassionate conversations. And I'm sure there were, don't get me wrong, but like when it comes to like how I naturally want to deal with things, I've had to really relearn that. So relatable. Yes, I can totally relate. It's hard to tell someone how you want it done after they are doing it. Yeah, and so realizing that like you don't need to ask them to redo something, but then like taking the responsibility. And I was sharing with you guys how I really struggle with someone told me once that I wasn't responsible, and going, "Oh, I'm not responsible, so I'm not cut out for this. So clearly that I can't do this." And starting to like, then you only live up to the standard that you think you're allowed to live up to. And so you need to start rewriting that narrative. And I have, I'm just going to grab it here. Ooh, oh gosh. I actually got out of this habit, but I did this and I need to restart it. But I started in 2019 writing down mantras every single morning. And I did it all the way into 2021, I believe. And, saying like, I'm a big deal and I can do hard things. The magic is showing up when I don't feel like it. Negativity can't touch me. This is for her. So everything I do in my business is, and the her is like the girl I used to be and the people I want to help. And I need to remind myself constantly that like, this isn't about you, Dawn, and how you feel today, but rather think about the people that are missing out if you don't show up. The people who are going to struggle with the things you struggled with alone. I don't want you guys, I'm going to get emotional. I don't want any single one of you to have to go through a minute of the pain and the struggle that I've had to go through in life and business. And that is my purpose. That is why I say I go live Monday to Friday. That's why I say that to you, to keep myself accountable, because I don't want little Dawn to have to suffer with that. And I don't want you to have to suffer with it. And that's why I'm here to help you. And then I will be more disciplined, focused, and detailed, gracious, and persistent. And then I wrote out like things of how I like things I want to achieve. And then I put what I'm thankful for. So I want you guys to know that like writing things down as if they've already happened, and then also mantras, I mean, they make such a big difference. And I was realizing this morning, I need to write down, I am a responsible, successful business owner. And I think I already am in a lot of ways, but I need to start actually believing it and living it out. Like, I am confident. If you struggle with confidence, start just telling yourself and looking in the mirror, I am confident. Because here's the thing is I know you're actually really confident inside. You just don't know how to get that confidence on the outside of you. And you're like, I know I need to get out of my own way, but I don't even know how. Well, stay sticking around here. I'm doing a 6-week series. This is week 1. This week is all about more about vulnerability and showing up in a vulnerable way rather than trying to pretend that we're this person that we're not. What if we just started talking about when we're nervous? Like telling your clients, I posted a reel yesterday about like, what if you just told your clients that talking about money is really hard? And that having a money conversation about price increase or the quote of their service is hard for you, but you need to have it. But you want to let them know that you're nervous, and you want to make sure that this conversation goes well because you want them to receive it well and understand that you're doing this to keep your business afloat and alive so that you can continue to serve them. What if you just started sharing with people how you felt rather than going, I'm so nervous, I don't know how to do this, and I don't want them to know I'm nervous because nervousness means I'm unsure. No, like, sorry, I'm just like realizing my drawstring is weird. What if you actually dipped into that vulnerability? Hey, I'm really nervous to tell you that I can't accommodate your appointment request that day because it's my day off. But I'm so nervous about telling you that because I'm scared that you won't find another time to come in and I'll lose you as a client. And then you might be surprised and your client might go, oh my gosh, no, you deserve a day off. But how many times when we go out on our own and we don't have a receptionist taking our calls or appointment requests anymore, that someone goes, hey, do you have availability like Thursday at 9? And you go, oh my gosh, I don't like, I was supposed to go home or I'm supposed to go out with friends, but like, but no, actually I have like, I'm supposed to be done work, but I'm not doing anything. And like, if I tell them no, what if they don't book? I mean, when a receptionist, if you ever worked in a salon, when a receptionist would do it, they'd look at your schedule and they go, unfortunately, they're not available. Is there another time that works? And they'd go, oh yeah, does this time? And they'd book in. Or they'd call back. Or, maybe the odd time they wouldn't work. But majority of the time they'd find another time. So why do we, for some reason, think the first option that they ask, we have to bend over backwards? What if you first said, you know what? I'm unable to accommodate you then. Is there a couple other times that you have that I could try to fit you in? Or I don't have that time available, but I can fit you in here. Why do we like we don't even have a conversation. We just feel like completely handcuffed to our clients. And we forget that we and you are someone who is in demand, that people want to see, that people will book time off work. When I started showing up as a specialist and realizing that like people wanted to see me and people would take time off work, and I started living that out, like instead of going, oh, well, yeah, like, no, I'll find a way. I started going, so this is my schedule that I work. I would really love to see you because I know that I'd have so much fun doing your hair. And I can already tell we'd have so much fun and we get along. And I just really want you to have the experience that you've been wanting and not getting other places. I hope you can find a time that works within my work schedule because I know we're going to have so much fun. People started finding ways to book in within my schedule. But I was also exuding the confidence that I didn't feel like I had, but I had to start showing up that way and telling them like, I would love to see you. And yes, oh my gosh, we're going to have so much fun. And I already know that you're going to love this, even though I'm like, oh, I just said they're going to love it. But what if I mess up? And what if I'm not the right hairstylist for them? And what if they don't like their hair? I had to go, yeah, there's always what ifs and there's always risk. And there's always a possibility that we're not going to be the right fit or they might not like what I do. But I need to have confidence in the fact that what they think at the end result or any unpredictable result that might come of it does not dictate how my skill and talent and ability. I'm still always going to come and bring my best to each and every service. I'm always going to come and do my best. And then I've learned to communicate to clients. I will show up with all my skill, talent, and knowledge, and I will do my best. But there are unpredictable things. You are a variable in an equation every single time you sit in my chair, especially with hair color. And so even though I can bring all my skill and talent and knowledge from the last 22 years in the industry, I cannot guarantee your hair color will turn out ever. I can have a higher predictability of what your hair, the more I do your hair, but the reality is that your diet, your hormones, and your internal health have an effect on your hair. So I just want you to know. And I had a client once be like, should I go somewhere else that carries a different color line because like no one's ever said this to me before. And I said, no, oh my gosh, I am so freaking passionate about this because I don't know why. But yeah, you're right. Nobody talks about the fact that like chemical services are never guaranteed. There may be sometimes in a policy somewhere or like the risks and waivers, but how come we are not having this conversation with every single client that sits in our chair that we're doing a chemical service on? There is no guarantee. There's more probability the more we know their hair and understand it, and the more we understand them. But their internal health, their medications, and their diet can play an effect, and there's no way to guarantee it. And when I said to my client, I know, I'm not saying you should go somewhere else. This risk exists everywhere you go. The reality is that hairstylists aren't communicating it. And I don't know why. And I'm really, as you guys can tell, I'm really freaking passionate about this, that we should be trained in hair school. I mean, I know I don't always have just hairstylists here. So, but like anyone who's doing any sort of chemical service on anything, we should be taught in hair school that the consultation, the very first thing that you share with your clients is there are no guarantees when it comes to chemical services. And it's not a matter of skill and talent and knowledge. It's a matter of like your hair. I fried someone's hair off 16 years into my career, January 30th, 2016. Day I'll never forget. 10 minutes of clay lightener on my client's hair. It was smoking. It was crackling. I went and rinsed it off. Thankfully, it was in the nape. I combed it. It just like came off. And I was like, whoa. And I felt like it was my fault that I sucked. I'm awful. Clearly, I've been faking my way through this industry for the last 16 years. There's no way that this is an accident. It's me. I did something wrong. I'm horrible. I suck. I don't know. Like I forgot every happy client I had ever had, all the success I had had over the last 16 years. I just zoned in on this one moment where it was an unpredictable thing. There was no way I could have guessed that it was going to happen. And yet I thought I'm terrible. I suck. Clearly I should quit. I almost quit the industry completely because it was just so overwhelming. I was coming down so hard on myself. I felt like an imposter. I had classes that I had sold tickets to in Portland and LA. And I was like, I should go refund the tickets, go live in the interior British Columbia and live off the land. I am not a domestic person in the least. I would not live out in the woods at all. But I let it get inside my head because I didn't think at that time. I had been faking it till I make it. I'd been putting on this confidence that I hadn't been practicing to feel. I'd been kind of like, I'm so kick-ass, I'm so good. And I didn't tell my client there was a risk. And the reality is that at the end of the day, it was my fault that not that the unpredictable heat reaction happened. That wasn't my fault, but it was my fault that I never told my client that this risk exists. It's minimal. We're all taught, those of us that are hairstylists, we're all taught that if you guys are watching on YouTube, Walter's behind me and he's being so cute. We're all taught that chemical reactions exist, but they're really minimal, but we're not taught to communicate that to every single client. And why not? It's so ridiculous. And so if you guys, I mean, those of you guys that are hairstylists here right now, are you with me? Like we should, do you want to like link arm in arm and start doing this? Because I actually have, so inside of Rock Your Business, my big program that I do a mentorship with, I have a whole thing about consultations. I also just have like the consultations and policy portion available that you can buy that has my whole risks and waivers that clients sign off on. If you want to know more, just DM me at Dawn Bradley Hair. And I'll share with you about that program. I also have a free workshop you can go take at dawnbradley.com all about policies and cancellations and getting in a really good place because I'm really freaking passionate about this. And it's time that we stop thinking that I suck, and realizing, oh, it's just learning to communicate better. It really boils down. And that's like, and it covers everything: price increases, boundaries, your schedule, dealing with unhappy clients, learning how to bring in the right clients, how to get rid of wrong clients. And there's a way to do it that isn't combative, conflictive, or passive aggressive or angry. There's a way to do it that you can have more control and predictability about how they respond and react to you than you just ghosting them or hoping that they float off into the abyss, or you going like, oh, I'd like to grow my business that way, but that requires me to then be like this and this. And that's just too scary and risky because if I have to start being more confident, that then gives the possibility of clients being a little bit more confrontational. And I hate confrontation. And so, you know what, as much as I want those goals and dreams that I have inside of me that I know I'm capable of, I don't think I want to have the confrontation that comes with it. So I'm going to play small. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to sabotage my success and my goals because I'm actually so freaking terrified of possible uncomfortable conversations. And like, tell me if I'm wrong, because this was 100% me. You are sabotaging your own goals and success that you know you're actually capable of. You know, like, capability is not the question. It's just that you're too terrified of confrontation. You're scared that when you make these big bold moves in your business and in your growth, that one client, maybe one client, there's one that comes to mind right now. Maybe just put their name in the comment, whatever that client's first name is. There's one client that already, you know, they're going to have something to say about it, and it's going to crush my spirit. And all I want is someone to go, yes, good for you. You've got this. I'm proud of you. You've been wanting to do this. Like, that's what we want our clients to do. And yet we let the idea of what someone might say, not even what they've said. And maybe the fear of what they might say is based off of something someone said to you in the past, but we're letting the fear of something that hasn't even happened yet dictate if we push forward. And I want you to think for just a second right now, when you're 85 years old or 95 years old and you're looking back on your life and you're looking back on the goals and dreams that you're like, I know I could do that. I could totally do that. And maybe it's becoming an educator. Maybe it's opening up your own salon suite. Maybe it's opening up a salon with staff. Maybe it's, you know, having a family. I'm just trying to think of personal ones. Maybe it's taking a year off and traveling the world, right? And when you're 95 years old looking back on your life, do you think you'll go, thank God I didn't take that chance because I was worried about what Brittany or Susan might have to say about it? I'm so glad that I didn't risk a possible conversation with someone to go after my goals. No, I know my biggest motivator in life is I don't want to look back on my life one day and go, I wish I would have tried. I wish I would have at least tried. What was I actually scared of? I was scared that someone was going to say something and I wasn't going to have the confidence to know how to respond to it. I was scared that someone was going to call me out on something that I fear that I don't have worth and value in this world. Let's be honest. Deep down, deep-seated fear. I fear that I don't have worth and value in this world, and that people don't think who I am or what I share is valuable. That is like a deep, and like, I know logically that I've helped people, but like, that is like a thing. And so I mean, with clients, I would hand my worth and value over to them. I would get them in on my day off because the praise and love they would give me would fill up that self-esteem cup. My self-esteem was so low, and it's not as low anymore, but it's still stuff I struggle with. But still struggling with, like, okay, if I can do things for people or be somebody for someone, and then they'll tell me how wonderful I am, that'll maybe help me believe it for a second. But the reality is that's a bottomless cup, and people will tell you and you'll feel good for a second, but then you like need it. And what we have to do is we have to work from it on the inside. I don't know where I was going with this, but I just got really into it. But realizing that, like, my fear is that it's not the confrontation. It's not the words the person says. It's that it's going to be about something that's going to trigger that low self-esteem inside me. And I'm not going to know how to confidently respond. Or maybe they're going to be, oh, I've got like a spam bot over on YouTube. You can leave. And that what they're going to say is going to hit right on that sensitive spot of me feeling worthless and having no value. And then what if they're right? What if my business falls apart? What if I do something? When I doubled my prices in February of 2019, I remember sending it out. I remember being like, oh my gosh, but I was changing. I was no longer double booking. I was giving a better experience. I was giving higher value. I was going to give better hair to my clients, more custom experience, more ability to be flexible. But it meant that, you know, the way I figured out my prices were going to double. And I was so scared of the possible reaction. What are people going to say when this change happens? Because my clients are happy with the way things are, but I know that I have these goals and dreams and what I want to provide for people. But what if someone tells me, and let me tell you, I got emails of people being like, you know, it's really too bad that I've supported you for 4 years and now you're just wanting to cater to a more elite clientele. And that stung, because no, I wasn't trying to only what's the word that I just used? Like, go for a elite clientele. And the reality is that some of my clients that have stuck with me at the higher price do not have these like super high paying jobs, downtown corporate stuff. People pay for what they value. And so clearly some clients didn't value what my new offer was, but some did. And it wasn't about that. It was, yeah, rejection, feeling like, and what rejection says to me as someone who's very sensitive to rejection, or what perceived rejection is, what rejection like ends up commuting to me in my head is that you're not worth it. You suck. You're terrible. No one thinks you're worth it. And then it confirms that deep seated fear that I don't have worth and value in this world. And I mean, you guys know I like to bring it as honest as it is and as vulnerable it is. That is probably going to be something I'm going to work through my entire life, is feeling like I'm worthy of the things that I want to achieve. And then when I achieve them, I saw this actually, I saved the audio this really other day being like, the reason why I have such a hard time celebrating myself is because I don't think I'm special. And so when I'm able to achieve something, I go, well, that's not that big of a deal, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that's the reality, is like everything that I've done in my business and in my life, you can do as well. I want you to know that. And that's why I'm so passionate. And that's why I was sharing these mantras with you, and why I say this is for her, because everything I do now, I want to make like 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 20, 25-year-old Dawn super freaking proud. And I want her to see what she's going to turn into and what she's capable of. And I want to do that for you too, because it's time you stop holding yourself back. It's time you stop letting those excuses saying like, well, I just want to like make sure that like I'm affordable for people and I care about my clients. And like, it's like such a self-sacrificial thing that you're doing. Bull crap. I mean, I think it's great that you serve people and that you want them, but if you're using that as an excuse to keep yourself from growing, no. And if you're doing it or not. If you ever feel, this is like a key indicator. If I ever say something and you feel like internally you're getting defensive and you're like, no, Don, that's not it, or that's not right, or that's not, if you get defensive, that's generally an indicator that it's something to look in and get curious about. I get freaking defensive all the time when people like say something and it's like, well, no, I'm not like that. Like my therapist, I like legit. So I took like a 3-year hiatus from my therapist because I got hurt about something that she did and I didn't communicate it to her. How funny, right? Like I still struggle with communication. And then I was like, well, she's not reaching out and I know she's my therapist. Big, long story. I'll tell you guys about it another way. I just love that the way you say no. Did I say that? I'm getting really passionate this morning. But I took a 3-year break and then I came back. And anyway, so she's like, you talk about your business differently now. And I was like, what? She's like, you talk about your business differently. And this was in August. I was feeling, I'll be fully transparent with you guys. I was feeling really apathetic this year. And I've never felt apathetic. I've never felt disconnected. I've either felt like really on fire and passionate, or like really fearful that I'm not on fire and passionate. But I was kind of like, meh, I don't know. And my therapist was like, you just don't talk about your business the same way. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, you're talking about all this like business. Hi, Ariel. You're talking about all this business stuff. And when I saw you 3 years ago, you always talked about how you wanted to help others know and feel their worth and help them grow the confidence they needed. It was all about helping people. And now you keep talking about all this business stuff. And I was like, I still care. And cause I do, but I like got super freaking defensive. I was like, no, that's not it. And then I was like, okay, the fact that you're like wanting to defend yourself so hard and tell her that what she's saying isn't true is like a clear indicator. And I had to take a step back and go, oh shit. Yeah. Like I do, still is my reason and my purpose and my goal. But I like hit this place in my business. I hit some big goals that I had in 2020, which was exciting. And then I started watching things of like, okay, like, to be like a successful business owner is this. And I started listening to people who weren't the right people to help me, because the reality is there's lots of educators out there. And I always want to share this with you guys. If you relate to me, you likely will learn well from me. But if you don't relate to the ADHD struggle, the overwhelmed, the anxious, the fearing what people might think of you, the handing over your worth and self-esteem to other people, then likely my education, no matter how good it can be, won't be for you, right? There's lots of different educators out there. And it's not that their education is wrong or right. It's whether it's the right fit for you. And so I was listening to the wrong educators for me and my business. And I started getting very like, I got to be at my desk 9 to 5 and I need to do this and this and this. And I got so off track from where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, and what I loved about my business. And I got in my own way because I thought this is how I had to show up now because this is where I'm at in business. And I see people do this all the time. Like, I'm a salon suite owner now, therefore I need to be like very like, meh, meh, meh. And we go into this like old school business of like really hard nosed because we saw someone else do it or taught us to do it. So I want you to know that even if you have a different idea of how to do your business, but you think nobody else is doing it, good. Nobody else is doing it that way. There's this book called Blue Ocean, I think. And I have it, but I haven't actually read it. But the whole concept is that you want to position yourself differently. So if no one else has done something, that's a perfect indicator that you should go do it. Because so when industries get really oversaturated, you need to set yourself apart some way. And that's why, like, when I moved to Calgary in 2014, there's tons of hairstylists here. And I see people all the time like, well, nobody else in my town does this. Perfect. You be the first one. And then show and communicate to all the people in your town why this is what they've been looking for and that nobody else is offering it. Because when I moved to Calgary, there was tons of amazing hairstylists here. And I ended up working from my basement in the deep southwest of Calgary in a rental property that I was really embarrassed about the appearance of it. And people had to walk through my home. But you know what? I just was like, you're going to finally get listened to. If you're ready to finally get the hair that you love, that lasts longer, that looks more natural, and have a hairstylist that actually listens to what you want, hello, here I am. I'm so excited to meet you. And I had people coming in. I mean, I started charging for consultations to try to slow down my new clients because one, I was confident, or I exuded confidence until I practiced. I always say, put the suit of confidence on. It's not about faking it till you make it, but like putting that suit on and zipping it up and going, oh, this is what confidence feels like. And then the more you put that suit on, the more your confidence just grows. And then you go, oh, I don't need that suit anymore. But you need to start trying. It's not going to just one day be like, ting, I'm confident. You have to practice. And so when I started communicating to people how I was different and what I did differently, and I took clients differently, and I did my approach to balayage was just on the scene, and hair painting was brand new. And I was like, I have this to offer. This is it. This is different. You're going to get more weeks out of your hair. So it's going to extra costing you less. You don't have to, as much as you love coming in, you don't have to come in as often. And I'm actually going to sit down and listen to you for half an hour before I even touch your hair, because I know you haven't been listened to. I position myself slightly different. Now, I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but find out what makes you different. And I know there's something in you that you're like, I've been thinking about doing this, or I've wanted to do something this way, but like nobody else is doing it, or I live in too small of a town. I couldn't do that. Like, one, saying I can't, I won't, I shouldn't, I couldn't is already an excuse. I'm not saying that everything's going to work out always, but shutting it off now before you even try, before you even inquire with your clients, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Would you like this? Right? We got to get out of our own way. We've got to get out of our own head. So that's this morning's live, Get Out of Your Own Way, which starts with getting curious and inquiring about the excuses that you're telling yourself to keep yourself small. If you think you're lazy, unorganized, not responsible, I want you to flip that. And I want you to find a Post-it note. I don't have my Post-it notes in front of me. And I want you to write on it, I am strategically productive, instead of I'm lazy. I am organized in my own way. Hi, Anson. I love that more people are getting on YouTube. I am organized in my own way. I am responsible with the things that I have, even if other people don't understand it. And I want you to put that on a Post-it note, and I want you to stick it somewhere that you're going to see every single day. And I want you to read it, and I want you to say it out loud to yourself. And then all of a sudden, see how you show up differently. All right. So this is Friday of my first week of my 6-week series of helping you show up differently in your business, get to your goals, grow your business in a way that works for you. Even if you're introverted, shy, anxious, ADHD, live in a small town, think that you're not able to do it, we're going to change that. So tune in weekday mornings at 8 a.m., between 8 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. here on Instagram or on YouTube. You can also catch the replays of these on YouTube or on my podcast 24 hours later, the Anxious Creative Podcast. But I'm so excited, you guys. Just put a reminder on your phone, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. I want to come here and share with you. And I want to remind you guys that this is free education that I come and do. And so the best way to thank me, or if you've enjoyed it, a good, nice, energetic exchange is to like it, leave a comment, and share this with other people. That helps me and my business and be able to continue to come here and give you guys this free coaching. And if I don't even like to say coaching, mentoring, because the difference between coaching and mentoring is a mentor is someone who's been through a struggle and got through it and got to the other side. I don't like coaching is like, yeah, you can do it from the sidelines. Me, it's like, I'm like coming back. Hey, I was here before. Let's go through this together because I did it alone and it freaking sucked. You could do it alone. You're totally capable of doing it alone. But like, why don't we do it together? I am so honored to be on this journey with you. We're going to do this 6 weeks up until January 8th, I believe. And then I'm going to be having a big class on January 8th to help you, which it's going to be more broken down, more interactive. And then I'm going to be opening up enrollment to my 8-week mentorship program, Rock Your Business, which is life changing and business changing. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you like this, share this with a friend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Have an awesome, awesome weekend. Love you guys. Stay weird. Bye. And YouTube, you always say bye last. See you later.